Our topic today is name, image, and likeness. It's something I'm sure that if you follow college athletics, if you follow athletics in general, it's a topic that is discussed on a daily basis, many times more than that.
Absolutely.
Our guests today include Brett Whiteside, who's the Executive Director of On to Victory, and Jeff Whitehead, who's the Executive Associate AD for Compliance at Auburn University. What is On to Victory?
On to Victory is a collection of Auburn fans and donors who want to make a positive impact on the lives of student athletes, right? We believe that there's really three areas that we supervise at On to Victory. Number one, we're the funding mechanism. We provide the opportunity for Auburn fans to pool their resources together. Number two, we're the allocation mechanism, right? So we allocate to the sports and to the athletes using our system of way that we think is best to allocate those resources. The fans have a way of allocating to the sports that they want to support, and we honor that 100%. And then lastly, we have a compliance mechanism in place. It is our responsibility to ensure that what the athletes are paid for, they're actually performing that service. And we take that really seriously because at the end of the day, the violation comes upon the institution. And On to Victory is made up of Auburn men and women that want to make sure that everything that's being done through our collective is being done properly, because at the end of the day, it's about supporting the institution to the levels that we're allowed to.
How involved can individual coaches at Auburn, how involved can they be with regard to On to Victory and their student athletes reaching out and getting that NIL deal?
Sure. So it's kind of a unique situation. While, like Brett mentioned, it's an independent NIL deal. I mean, they are no different than another company out there. They are not the institution. That's clear from the NCAA. However, as the institution, we're allowed to support their efforts, and we're allowed to assist in fundraising. We're allowed to notify them of the awareness of the collective. So it gets kind of tricky with coaches. We're allowed to make appearances. They're allowed to support. They're allowed to tweet, show up, whatever it may be for the collective. But when it comes to deals currently today, it is still impermissible for the institution to facilitate any kind of deal with a student athlete or prospective student athlete with the collective. So what has to happen is we can provide the collective a list of current student athletes and say, hey, this is who's on the roster. If you guys want to pursue deals, or it can be vice versa. We're allowed to make that connection with current student athletes, not prospects, which is kids who are still in high school or transfers or whatever it may be. But current student athletes, they're allowed. We as staff or the coaches are allowed to have that introduction connection between them. Coaches can make appearances at fundraisers. They can be around to help support them. But ultimately, the deal is between the collective and the student athlete. There's no say on input of numbers, figures, duties. It is all up to the collective, just as much as it would be to that other business that may want to do a deal with a student athlete.
All right, how does that work then?
Yeah.
From your perspective with a student athlete in whatever sport at Auburn University.
So, just to kind of piggyback on what Jeff was just saying, so our coaches can say, hey, support On to Victory, right? But they're not allowed to have resources allocated directly to any student athlete or to the sport specifically, right? So that's one distinction to be made. What our system is, we have an evaluation committee, right? We have a group of people who sit down and look at it holistically of, how is it that we want to structure these NIL deals? And they can be done a multitude of different ways. We can have a 1-week contract. We can have a 1 month, a 1 year, 3 year, and just different circumstances call for different types of opportunities. If we could provide maximum opportunities to every student athlete at Auburn, we absolutely would. But we try to be great stewards and we try to just work within the resources that we have. And so it's really on an individual basis. That is one of the few pieces of guidance that the NCAA has provided to us, is you should make an individual NIL evaluation for each individual student athlete. And so that's the process that we go through, and we have a great group of people who kind of work through that with us.
What resources do you have available to the student athletes with regard to financial planning, tax purposes?
Great question. I'll first say that I think the institution does a really nice job of preparing our student athletes. They have a great program here for our student athletes to become, holistic Auburn men and women, right? That's part of the mission here. But within our office, we also feel a responsibility to talk specifically in the tax area, because that is one thing that's prohibited for the institution to really get involved in. So Currently, and if y'all want to take that over, you're more than welcome to take it over.
We will have that caveat a lot.
Yes.
We will. But because they can't do it, that's obviously a piece that we want to fill, a void that we want to fill. Tax education is really important, right? April 15th is coming up, and there are a lot of student athletes across the country because they're all independent contractors, right? And there's some athletes who have no idea what a 1099 is. Mm-hmm. And that will hit them right in the head here coming up in a couple weeks. But fortunately at On to Victor, we have a mechanism set up that we're able to help our student athletes with the remittance of their quarterly estimations throughout the year. And so most of our athletes right now at On to Victory are probably awaiting a refund check as opposed to stressed out about how am I going to make this payment.
Is that voluntary for the student athletes, or is that mandatory?
We can't make it mandatory.
Okay.
You can't require an independent contractor to remit quarterly estimations, but we do really encourage our athletes, and we've had over 80% of the athletes opt into that. And some of those who have not opted into it, maybe because they don't feel like they have that taxable burden, a lot of them, they've already sat down with an accountant and done tax planning. Here locally, we have 3 tax firms that we recommend that they reach out to one of these 3 or anyone else. Those 3 firms, I think, have done a really nice job of sitting down and not only tax preparation, but tax planning, because there's a big difference. We have athletes who have formed companies and they formed LLCs, and they have created this personal brand that they really have in this name, image, and likeness space. So I have seen our student athletes really grow as individuals and to begin thinking of themselves as entrepreneurs in this space. But additionally to the taxes, the financial planning piece as well. We recently had Ronnie Brown complete a financial seminar with our student athletes, and that went really well. A lot of questions were asked on that seminar, and we want to continue to provide those types of opportunities.
I'll speak to that. Historically in compliance, we've always been, as you're educating student athletes, when you go pro, it's always been hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is going to come. You're going to have to deal with taxes on your contract. You're going to have to worry about financial planning. It's here and now. This is giving them that opportunity to get that experience and work with their marketing agents, their tax planners, wherever it may be, but they are getting that real world now while they're in college, so it just helps further prepare them for that next step.
I was visiting with Chad Baker-Mazzara yesterday. He's bought real estate, and he's starting to think about what am I setting myself up for when I stop playing. Every athlete at Auburn will stop playing one day, and I think a lot of our athletes are beginning to think about preparing for their future.
You hear, especially with regard to the transfer portal, you hear numbers being thrown out for this student athlete going here, or this is what's being offered. Is there a limit right now to what a student athlete can earn through NIL?
No more so than anyone else can be limited in their own compensation within their jobs. You can't limit someone's opportunities. I can tell you at On to Victory, we stick very closely with what we believe is the market value. I think that we do a really nice job of supporting our athletes with what we think the market dictates. And sure, sometimes they think they would want more, but we try to stick within what we believe is a fair market value. And again, we're operating at a very high level among our peers. And so I think that our athletes are seeing that they're getting great opportunities with us. The other thing to point out is we don't have an exclusive agreement with these athletes. And so we try to provide them opportunities to go seek deals from other companies in this state. You're a big figure when you attend Auburn University. There are major Fortune 500 companies who want to engage with people who are student athletes at Auburn. And so we will help them in that. The university is able to have a platform through Influencer where they can seek other opportunities. So don't think of the Collective as 100% of your NIL market value. We're just a small piece of that.
Where does the money come from?
It really comes primarily from our fan base. We have folks who are a part of a major fundraising campaign where they can make a gift over a 3-year period that's really been the most impactful for us. But we also have over 3,000 fans who are contributing every month to support our student athletes. And our pledge to our fan base has been, hey, at least 90% of your donation is going to go directly to student athletes, with a 10% operations cost, and that's very lean. We're operating at a 90% profit, basically, to where all of that's going to support our athletes. But we have other opportunities through events. Our partnership with War Eagle Plus has been really good, just a great platform with incredible content. The staff at War Eagle Plus has done a great job. Sport and Story's been a good partner in that. So we're trying to provide other opportunities for our fans to be able to get involved somehow.
When someone is making a donation or a monthly pledge to On to Victory, that is not going to Auburn University Athletics. That is not going, for example, to Tigers Unlimited, correct?
No, great question. And at the moment,
Currently.
right,
Yeah.
we hope that this changes.
Yeah.
But at the moment, Tigers Unlimited can't be involved with us. They can't. Somebody can't make a gift to Tigers Unlimited, and that gift end up coming to the collective for our benefit. It is a completely separate mechanism, and so what people are doing with their tickets, what they're doing with their giving to the foundation or to the university, is not having a direct impact on to Victory. And obviously, we're all Auburn people, and we know that those needs still need to be met. What we're asking folks is, if you have the ability to engage with our student athletes through name, image, and likeness, here's the mechanism for that. And if you're wanting to be able to attend these exclusive events that we're having and that sort of thing, that's your opportunity to join with us.
Give us an example of one of these exclusive events.
Yeah, coming up, A-Day, exclusive to fans, or exclusive to supporters of On to Victory, exclusive to our members. Starting at 10 o'clock will be our SEC Championship men's basketball team will be there, as well as our baseball team before they play that day. And then the football team will be there about 10:45, and they'll sign autographs for about 45 minutes. And then you'll have a front row seat to Tiger Walk as they head towards the game. So that's one of our opportunities. Yeah. We'll do another one this summer going into football season, where we'll be able to have a lot more of other sports. As I mentioned, we have 16 sports on contract. It just worked out that those are the 3 that can be there Saturday morning.